Welcome to part 2 of our SQL full tutorial. In this session, we will continue exploring database engineering and coding techniques. Stay tuned for a comprehensive step-by-step guide. Let's discuss SQL data manipulation language, focusing on data retrieval. The select syntax allows for renaming columns using aliases. Use the as keyword to define a column alias, which will appear in the result. To remove duplicates in SQL, use the select DESC clause. This ensures unique results by deduplicating data. Note that using DESC can increase query response time due to sorting. SQL operators allow deriving values from columns. Arithmetic operations and string concatenation are possible. For example, calculate total volume using sum and concatenate strings with. The from clause in SQL specifies tables used in a query. You can create table aliases for reference. This is useful in joins and helps avoid errors by not using real table names. The where clause filters query data using predicates. It evaluates conditions as true or false, determining which rows to include in the result. Use comparison and negation operators for precision. Combining predicates with or and allows complex filtering. Pattern matching with like enables string comparisons using wildcards. This is useful for flexible data retrieval. Pattern matching examples include using like for strings starting or ending with specific characters. This technique is essential for targeted data searches in SQL. Lists and ranges in SQL use in and between operators. In checks for values in a list, while between verifies if a value falls within a range. These are crucial for efficient data filtering. Sorting in SQL is achieved with or by. Specify columns in sort order, either ascending or descending. This ensures data is presented in a meaningful sequence. Limit query results using offset and fetch. Offset skips rows, while fetch limits the number of rows returned. These clauses optimize data retrieval and performance. Understanding NULL values is vital in SQL. NULL represents unknown, inapplicable, or absent values. Use it cautiously to avoid confusion and ensure data integrity. Assigning NULL in SQL can be explicit or implicit. Use not NULL constraints to prevent NULL values in critical columns. This maintains data consistency and reliability. Examples of assigning NULL include explicit and implicit methods. Ensure primary keys are not NULL to maintain database integrity. Observe results to verify correct implementation. Calculations involving NULL can yield unexpected results. For instance, adding NULL to a number results in NULL. Handle NULLs carefully in calculations and concatenations.
Let's now see how all of this actually works in practice. In this video, we're going to dive into a PostgreSQL database and work directly with SQL queries. The goal is to practice writing simple, progressive, and above all, educational SQL queries using DVD rental PostgreSQL database. What's the idea? We start with raw data, then transform it step by step to make it readable, useful, and actionable. This database contains around 15 tables. So let's begin with our very first query. Our objective is to practice different SQL queries together, mainly using the select statement without adding other clauses just yet, like where, which we'll cover later. First query, display customer first names. I start with a very basic query. Select first underscore name from customer. Immediately we notice something on the screen, repeated first names. Nothing unusual here. Several customers can share the same first name. The result is a complete list, but full of duplicates. To fix this, I introduced distinct. Its role is simple. Remove duplicates. Follow me closely and feel free to compare what you see on screen with your own tests. And just like magic, we now get a clean list of unique first names. Let's move on and see how to improve readability with aliases. Aliases are that little extra that changes everything. Let's take our first school query on the film table. You can see all the columns displayed. I renamed title as film underscore title. The result? Columns that speak the business language, perfect for clear reporting. Let's go further. I concatenate first name and last name to display a full name. Each row now represents a clearly identified person. I apply the same logic to actors. First name and last name clearly separated. Zero ambiguity. Now, how do we filter data? With where and like. I select movies whose title starts with the letter A using, like, a percenta. Result, only the relevant movies appear. Another example, searching for a word inside a text. I filter customers whose last name contains son. The results show up instantly. Next, numerical comparisons. I want to display movies longer than 100 minutes. Result, the longest movies stand out. Same principle for payments greater than 5, only higher amounts are highlighted. Now let's look at logical operators starting with and. I combine two conditions, long movies and expensive rentals. The result is highly targeted. With OR, I broaden the search. Customers in France or Germany. Both countries appear in the results. Using the not operator, I exclude movies rated PG-13. All the others remain visible. To define value ranges, SQL offers a very practical operator. Between. This query selects movies with a duration between 80 and 120 minutes, inclusive. Only values within that range are returned. Now let's work with value lists using in and not in. I exclude specific classifications, and just like that, everything else appears. Once data is filtered, sorting becomes essential. This query sorts movies by length in ascending order, from shortest to longest. The information becomes structured and easy to read. Finally, let's see how to limit the number of displayed rows. The limit clause helps us focus on what really matters: the 10 longest movies, the most recent customers. With just these few queries, we can see how SQL, simple and progressive, allows us to explore, structure, and analyze data in PostgreSQL.
Thank you for joining our SQL tutorial. For more insights on database engineering and coding, like and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for future content.